And the first question says that work out 80 divided by 0.02. So let's rewrite this as 80 divided by 0.02. Let's move the decimal 2 places to the right, which adds 0, 0 in the denominator along with the 1. Now what we have is 80 divided by 2 over 100. Take the reciprocal of the fraction, so it's going to be 80 times 100 over 2 now. 80 times 100 is 8,000, and 8,000 divided by 2 is 4,000. That's your answer. Valid cube root of 1,000. 1,000 is basically 10 times 10 times 10, which is 10 to the power of 3. So if we rewrite 10,000 as 10 cube in the cube root, that's basically 10 to the power of 3 whole power 1 over 3. Multiply the powers, 3 times 1 over 3, and that is 10 to the power of 1, which is equal to 10. Over here, we're applying the rules of indices. First, we apply that when we have same bases being multiplied, we add the powers. So it becomes 10 cube. And second is when we have a power inside the bracket and outside the bracket, you multiply the powers. Hence, we did 3 times 1 over 3, which gives us 1. Then it says put one pair of brackets into this calculation to make it correct. So we have to make sure that we get 4 as the result. If we put a bracket around 4 plus 4, we get 8 times 4 minus 4. Then we do 8 times 4, which is 32. And 32 minus 4 is 28, which is not the correct option. So let's put the brackets again. If we do brackets around 4 times 4, it's going to be 4 plus 16 minus 4. 4 plus 16 is 20. 20 minus 4 is 16. Once again, we're not getting 4, so the brackets don't work over here as well. Now, last option we have is putting the brackets over here. So it's going to be 4 plus 4 times 0. 4 times 0 is going to be 0. And 4 plus 0 is 4, which means the brackets can only be put around 4 minus 4. Throughout this calculation, we follow the rules of BIDMAS, where we solve brackets first. Next, we solve indices. Then division, multiplication, addition, and lastly, subtraction. So you start and go in this order. Work out -6 times brackets -3 plus 7. So as we said earlier, we'll follow the BIDMAS rule. We'll solve the brackets first. So it's going to be -6 times 4. And -6 times 4 is going to be -24. When you multiply a negative integer with a positive integer, the answer is always negative. Write 7.54 times 10 to the power of -4 as an ordinary number. So 7.54 times 10 to the power of -4 means we're going to move the decimal 4 places to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, which means we'll have 0.000754. This is the ordinary number. If it was 7.54 times 10 to the power of 4, then you would have moved the decimal 1, 2, 3, 4 places to the right. So that would have been 754,000. Question 4 says Sam has 6 square tiles labeled A, B, C, D, and A, B, C, D, E, and F. When Sam places tiles E and F side by side, the resulting rectangle has no lines of symmetry and no rotational symmetry. Write down the two tiles that Sam should place side by side to make a rectangle that has one line of symmetry and rotational symmetry of order 2. So for one line of symmetry, we can put C and D next to each other. So I'm going to make C with D over here and show you why. So let's sketch the cubes. There we go. So we have one colored over here and one colored over here. So if you look at this shape together, this has one line of symmetry, which is passing through the middle. We will put A and E together. Why? Let me show you that. So we have this is A and this is E. So if we make the complete shape, this is A and this is E. Okay. So if we rotate it once, that's going to be like one second. This will come over here. This will come over here. This will be over here. And this will be here. So this is one rotation, okay? Now if we rotate it again, I'm gonna make the rotation over here. So what we'll have is this over here, this over here, this over here, and this over here. So this was the first rotation. We went from this to this, and this was the second rotation. And as you can see, when we rotated again, which was a 180-degree rotation over here, this was a 90-degree rotation over here, we get the same shape as the original one, which means this shape, which we get by joining A and E, has a rotational order symmetry of 2. The perimeter of a regular hexagon is equal to the perimeter of a regular octagon. Each edge of the octagon is 9 centimeters long. Find the length of one edge of the hexagon. An octagon has 8 sides. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And each of these sides are equal because it's a regular octagon. And they're equal to 9 centimeters. So all of these are 9. So the perimeter would be 8 times 9 because we're adding the length 9 8 times, which is going to be 72 centimeters. Now, since this saying that the perimeter of the hexagon and octagon are equal, a hexagon has 6 sides. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Octagon, hexagon. So once again, it's a regular hexagon, all equal lengths. So we'll put 72 equal to 6 times x now. X is the length of the hexagon. So we do 72 divided by 6, and that's going to give us 12 centimeters, which is your length of one edge of the hexagon. Question 6 says work out 11 over 15 minus 2 over 3. Whenever we're adding or subtracting unlike denominators, our first step is to see if the denominators can be made equal. How can they be made equal? So in the first case, the denominator is 15, and in the second case, the denominator is 3. We know 15 comes in the 3 times table because 3 times 5 is 15. Hence, we will multiply the second fraction by 5, both the numerator and denominator by 5. So we're going to have 11 over 15 minus 10 over 15. Since the denominators are equal now, we can subtract the numerators. So 11 minus 10 over 15, which is going to be 1 over 15. Once the denominators are the same, you can just combine the fractions as a single fraction and write the common denominator. Work out 3 over 10 divided by 6. So we'll do 3 over 10 times 1 over 6. Whenever there's a fraction being divided by a fraction, or a fraction is being divided by a whole number, we take the reciprocal of the second term. Reciprocal is swapping the denominator with the numerator. So 6 becomes the denominator now. And since every whole number has a denominator of 1, so 1 will become the numerator. So reciprocal of 6 is 1 over 6. And when we take the reciprocal, division also changes to multiplication. So now we have 3 over 10 times 6. We know 3 ones are 3 and 3 twos are 6. So it's going to be 1 over 20. Question 7 says in the diagram AD, AB and BC are three sides of a regular pentagon and DC is the diagonal of the pentagon. AB is parallel to DC. Find the value of x. AB is parallel to DC. So in parallel lines, if we write the properties over here, alternate angles are equal. Corresponding angles are equal. And vertically opposite angles are equal. Okay. And the last rule, which is your co-interior angles add up to 180. In the question, they have told us that it's a regular pentagon. A pentagon has 5 sides. And since a regular pentagon, we can find the interior angle, which is x, using the formula n minus 2 times 180 over n, which is going to be 5 minus 2 times 180 over 5. And that's going to equal 108 degrees, which is our value of x. Find the value of y. So going back to our properties of parallel lines that we discussed, we said that co-interior angles add up to 180. And as you can see, x and y are co-interior angles. So x was 108. 180 is going to equal to x plus y. So 180 equals to 108 plus y. 180 minus 108. And that's going to give us 72 degrees. That is your value of y. Question 8 says ABC is an isosceles triangle with AB equals to BC. So this is equal to this. The ratio of angle ABC to angle BAC is 2:5. Find angle ABC. We have to find this angle. So in isosceles triangle, two lengths are equal. So that means their corresponding angles are also equal. So this angle is equal to this angle. So if we assume this to be x and this to be x, angle ABC would be 180 minus x, which is 180 minus 2x. Okay. And they say that the ratio of angle ABC to BAC is 2:5. Angle ABC would be, they've told us that the ratio of the angle ABC to angle BAC is 2:5. BAC is x, so that means BCA would also have the number 5 in a ratio. So if we write ABC, that would equal to 2 over 2 plus 5 and plus 5. Why is there another 5? The reason why there's another 5 because it's an isosceles triangle. And in isosceles triangles, two angles are equal. And since we'll be multiplying this fraction by 180, which is the sum of angles of a triangle equal to 180. So there has to be the third angle. And the number that represents the third angle over here is 5. Hence, it's going to be 2 plus 5 plus 5, which is going to be 2 over 12 times 180. And that is going to give us 30 degrees, which is your angle ABC. Question 9 says, by writing each number correct to one significant figure, estimate the value of this. 47.5 will be 50. 36.1 is going to be 40. 64.9 is going to be 60. And 17.7 is going to be 20. It's going to be 50 plus 40 over 60 divided by 20. 50 plus 40 is 90. 60 divided by 20 is 3. So 90 divided by 3 is 30. Question 10 says, write 420 as a product of its prime factors. 420 can be split into 42 times 10. 42 is 6 times 7. 6 is 3 times 2. 7 is a prime number, so we can't really break it down any further. So that remains as it is. So we have 7, 2, 3. Then over here, when we split 10, we had 2 and 5. 2 and 5 are also prime numbers, so we can't further break them down. So as you can see, we have these prime factors. Now, if you write them as a product, that's going to be 2 times 2 times 3 times 5 times 7, which can be rewritten as 2 square times 3 times 5 times 7. There is no one way to break 420 down. You could have written like 21 times 20, or like, 6 times 70, 70 times 6, anything. There is no restriction. As long as your final factors are correct, you can break it down in any manner you want. Part B says, given that 1512 equals to 2 cube times 3 cube times 7, find the highest common factor of 420 and 1512. Now 420 was 2 square times 3 times 5 times 7. And we have to find the highest common factor between these two numbers. So we have 2 cube, 3 cube, and 7. So highest common factor will be 2 square, because there's a 2 square over here, and 2 cube can be split into 2 square times 1. which means the 2 square is present. There is a 3 because 3 cube can be split into 3 square times 3. This is a 2. And 5 is not common, but there's a 7. So 4 times 3 times 7, which is 12 times 7, and that is 84. So for highest common factor, always remember that you have to find what's the highest number that's common between both the terms. Between 420 and 1512, 2 square was the highest common number, then 3 was the highest common number, and then 7. Once you've identified the highest common factors, we multiply them and write the answer. Question 11 says, Azra has a spinner. The sections are colored red, blue, yellow, or green. The relative frequency of the spinner landing on red, blue, or yellow is shown in the table. Find the relative frequency of the spinner landing on green. So for that, we will subtract all of these frequencies from 1. The reason being that the total frequency of the events covering is always going to equal to 1. It's never going to be greater than 1 or less than 1 for the total frequencies. So we subtract these from 1, and what we get is 0.35. Azra spins the spinner 150 times. How many times would you expect the spinner to land on blue? So blue had the frequency of 0.3. So we do 0.3 times 150. Move the decimal 1 place to the right. The 0 gets cancelled out. So now it's 3 times 15, and that is 45. Represent the inequality x is greater than equal to -4 and less than 2 on the number line. So on -4, we'll draw a colored circle because the colored circle represents that the value is included in the range. And at 2, we'll draw a blank circle, which shows that this value is not included in the range. And then we connect the 2 circles with a line. That is your answer. Solve the inequality. So I'm going to swap -n with -5. So it's going to be 10 plus 5 and 2n plus n now, which is 15 less than 3n. Divide both sides by 3, and we have 5, which means n is greater than 5 because 5 was less than n. Sophie cycles 2600 meters in 12 minutes. Work out Sophie's average speed in kilometers per hour. We have this distance in meters and time in minutes. 1 kilometer equals to 1000 meters, which means 1 meter will equal to 1 over 1000 kilometers. So for 2600 meters, we'll multiply 2600 with 1 over 1000, which is going to give us 2.6 kilometers. Because the 2 zeros get cancelled out, and 26 divided by 10 is 2.6. Then for time, 1 hour equals to 60 minutes. So 1 minute will equal to 1 over 60 hours. So for 12 minutes, we'll do 12 times 1 over 60, which is going to be 1 over 5 hours because 5 times 12 is 60. So average speed is distance over time. Distance is now 2.6 kilometers. Time is 1 over 5. Let's rewrite this as 2.6 divided by 1 over 5, which is basically 2.6 times 5. Now 2.6 times 5 is going to be 5 times 6 is 30. 0, carry the 3. 2 5s are 10. 10 plus 3 is 13. So your answer is 13 kilometers per hour. Question 14 says the scale drawing shows a plot of land PQRS. The scale is 1 centimeter to 20 meters. A path crosses the land. The path is equidistant from SP and SR. Use a straight edge and compass only to construct the path. So since it's equidistant from SP and SR, that means you will draw an angle bisector at S. What you will do is you will open your compass to a specific length. It can be any length as long as it's like less than SR. You will put your pointy part at S and draw an arc with that length over here and here. Then you will put the point over here again and draw another arc over here and repeat the same steps from over here using the same length that the compass has opened to. So you'll have these 4 arcs, and then you will connect your center of S and pass it through the center of the intersection of these arcs, and you will get this line. This is your angle bisector. And you can check that by measuring angle S and seeing that this part is half of the total value of S. So this is the locus of that point. Priya walks from point P to the path on a bearing of 104 degrees. And draw a line to represent Priya's walk and then find the actual distance from P to where Priya meets the path. From point P on a path of 104 degrees. What you will do is you will put your protractor at P and then you measure your angle. So 104 will basically be somewhere over here. Yeah, somewhere around here basically, because it has to be greater than 90. So this will be her entire line. And they want us to next what do is they want us to find the actual distance from P to where Priya meets the path. So what you will do is you will measure this distance, and whatever the value is in centimeters, you will multiply that by 20. So let's say if this value is like 6 centimeters, I'm assuming that you will do 6 times 20, which will be 120 meters. So that will be your actual distance that Priya has covered. Once again, this is a value that I'm assuming. Once you make your line and measure it, you'll have the correct value. Then it says a car park is to be built on the plot of land. On the scale drawing, the area of the car park will be 2 centimeters square. Find the actual area of the car park. So to find the actual area of the car park, they said that 1 centimeter is equal to 20 meters. So if we take 1 centimeter square, that's going to be 20 square, which is going to give us 400 meters square. And since it's supposed to be 2 centimeters square, so we multiply this by 2 and this by 2. So the ratio is going to be 2 centimeters square to 800 meters square. So your actual area of the car park is going to be 800 meters square with respect to the 2 centimeters square. Question 15 says the diagram shows the points A, B, and C. The equation of the line AB is 3y plus 4x equals to 18. Find the value of P. So this is 3y plus 4x equals to 18. We can find the value of P by putting y equals to 0. So 3 times 0 plus 4x equals to 18. 3 times 0 is 0, so 4x equals to 18. And x is going to be 18 over 4, which can be simplified to 9 over 2, which in decimals is 4.5. Then the question says, write down the 3 inequalities that define the region inside the triangle ABC. Since we're using point P, so x equals to P and P is also 4.5. Write down the three inequalities that define the region inside the triangle ABC. So we already know the equation for this, which is 3y plus 4x equal to 18. We know P equals to 4.5. So this line is going to be equal to x equals to 4.5, and this line over here is equal to y equal to 6. Now for the line x equals to 4.5, we're looking at the values where x is decreasing, which means the first inequality is going to be x is less than 4.5. Then if you look at the y values, we're looking at the region where y is also decreasing. So y is also less than 6. For 3y plus 4x equals to 18, we're looking at the region that is above the line, where both x and y values are increasing. Hence, 3y plus 4x is going to be greater than 18. So these are your inequalities. Question 16 says P is the point -2, 1 and Q is the point 6, 13. M is the midpoint of the line PQ. Find the coordinates of M. So midpoint has the formula of x1 plus x2 over 2, comma y1 plus y2 over 2. Basically, you're taking the average of your x values and y values. That's going to be -2 plus 6 over 2 and 1 plus 13 over 2, which is going to give us 4 over 2 and 14 over 2. And that's going to be equal to 2, 7. That's your midpoint and coordinate for M. Find the gradient of the line PQ. M equals to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. This is the formula for the gradient. So we're going to do 13 minus 1 over 6 minus -2. Now there's no restriction to your x value, x1 value or like x2 value. Basically, you have to make sure that if you pick a coordinate, let's say I pick Q. So Q was my x2 and y2. Hence P would become my x1 and y1. You can't swap between your, like, basically you can't say that this is x1, so this would be y2. That's incorrect. If you're making a coordinate x1, then its corresponding y value would always be y1, not y2. So 13 minus 1 is 12. 6 minus -2 is 6 plus 2, which is 12 over 8, and that can be simplified to 3 over 2 or 1.5. Then it says write on the gradient of the line that is perpendicular to the line PQ. So if two lines are perpendicular, this is L1, this is L2, then that means gradient of L1 times gradient of L2 will always equal to -1. This is the main property through which you recognize perpendicular lines and solve its questions. So we're going to do gradient of PQ was 3 over 2. So I'm going to say 3 over 2 times M2, which is the gradient of L2, equals to -1. So M2 is going to be equal to -1 times 2 over 3. I cross multiplied 2 with -1 and then divided it by 3, which is going to give us m2 equals to negative 2 by 3. That is your gradient of the line perpendicular to the line PQ. Simplify x square whole power 3. As we said earlier, when there's a power inside the bracket and outside the bracket, we multiply the powers. So that's going to be x to the power of 6. Then it says find t to the power of negative 2 equals to 9. Let's rewrite the negative power as a positive power by bringing it down in the denominator. So 1 over t square equals to 9 now, because t to the power of negative 2 is the same as 1 over t square. One of the rules of indices again. That's how you make negative powers positive. So we can say 1 over 9 equals to t square now. Cross multiply them. Take the square root on both sides. Why we take the square root on both sides? The thing is that when we're trying to get rid of a square, we square root it. So we can't just square root one side. We have to square root both the sides. So square root of 1 over 9 is going to be plus minus 1 over 3. And square root of t square is going to be t. Square root of 5 times 5 to the power of 0 equals to 5 to the power of k. Whenever we are multiplying similar bases, we can combine it as a single base and add the powers. Going to do same over here, but first we will rewrite the root as power of 1 over 2. Now we add the powers. So 1 over 2 plus 0, that's going to be 1 over 2. Whenever the bases are same on both sides, we can put the powers equal to each other. And this is your answer. Another thing we could have done was we could have replaced 5 to the power of 0 as 1, because anything raised to the power of 0 is 1. That would have been 5 to the power 1 over 2 times 1 equals to 5 to the power of k, which would be 5 to the power 1 over 2 equals to 5 to the power of k. Once again, put the powers equal to each other and same answer. You can use either way as long as you're getting the correct answer. Question 18 says x is directly proportional to the square of y plus 1. When y is 2, x is 45. Find x when y is 4. X is directly proportional to the square of y plus 1 square, which means x equals to k times y plus 1 square. X is 45, y is 2. As you can see, we have one unknown now, which is k, and we're trying to find its value. 45 equals to k times 3 square, which is 9. So 45 divided by 9, and k is 5. Replace this value back into the formula that we were creating. X equals to 5 times y plus 1 whole square. Now we find the value of x when y is 4. So put y equals to 4 in the equation. 5 times 5 square, and that's going to be 125. That is your answer. Solve 3x minus 1 over 6 plus x plus 2 over 4 equals to 5 over 3. Same rule as we discussed earlier. When we're adding or subtracting, unlike denominators, we first make the denominators equal. So I will multiply the first fraction by 4, second fraction by 6. 4 times 3x minus 1 over 4 times 6 plus x plus 2 times 6 over 4 times 6. This entire thing equals to 5 over 3. We will not multiply anything by 5 over 3 yet, because they're not being added to the left hand side. It's just equal to 5 over 3. So we just leave 5 over 3 as it is for now. 4 times 3x is 12x. 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. Basically, we're multiplying 4 with both the terms inside the bracket. Same with 6 with both the terms inside the bracket. Divided by 24 plus 6x plus 12 over 24 equals to 5 over 3. Since we have the same denominators, we can combine the numerators. 12x plus 6x minus 4 plus 12. I just rearrange the values to collect the like terms with each other. So the denominator is now going to be 24, and we can write it as a single fraction. 12x plus 6x is 18x, minus 4 plus 12 is 8 over 24 equals to 5 over 3. Now we know that 18 and 8 come in the 2 times table. We can take 2 common. It's going to be 9x plus 4 over 24. Let's just simplify it. 2 ones are 2, and this is 12. So we have 9x plus 4 over 12 equals to 5 over 3. Cross multiply. 3 times 9x plus 4 equals to 12 times 5. 27x plus 12, because we multiplied 3 with 9x and with 4, equal to 60. 27x equals to 60 minus 12, which is going to give us 27x equals to 48. X equals to 48 over 27, which can be simplified to 16 over 9. That is your value of x. Question 20 says the table shows some information about the times each of 100 children spent reading in one day. Find the value of x in the interval of t is greater than x but less than equal to 30. So this is the interval for that. Now remember that frequency density has the formula of frequency over class width. Frequency density is given as 1.6. Frequency is given as 32. Class width is what we don't have. So I'm going to write this as CW. Now CW equals to 32 divided by 1.6. Move the decimal. Add a 0 in the numerator. So it's going to be 320 over 16. Now 320 over 16 is going to equal to 20. So 20 is your class width, which means 20 is basically equal to 30 minus x, and x is 30 minus 20, which is 10. If there's still any confusion, class width is basically maximum value of the interval minus the minimum value of the interval. Maximum value of the interval is 30 and minimum is x. Hence 20 equals to 30 minus x, and x is 10. On the grid, draw a histogram to represent the data for the 100 children. So let's find the frequency densities first. Over here, frequency density will be 15 over 5, which is 3. And over here, it's going to be 30 over 15. Let's plot this. From 10 to 30, it's 1.6. 1.6 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is from 10 to 30. Then to 30 to 40 is 2.3. 1, 2. This there's going to be no gap over here. So let me make it again. Yeah. Then for 40 to 45, that's 3. And lastly, from 45 to 60, question 21 says f of x equals to 1 plus 3x over 2 and g of x is 2 over 1 minus x. Find f inverse of x. So y equals to 1 plus 3x over 2. That's your first step. Replace f of x with y. Now we have to focus on making x a subject. Right now, y is the subject of the equation. So first we'll move 1 to the other side and it will be y minus 1 equals to 3x over 2. Then we cross multiply 2. So 2 times y minus 1 equals to 3x. And then we divide both sides by 3. So 2 over 3 times y minus 1 equals to x. And f inverse of x is 2/3 of x minus 1. That is the answer. You can even expand the bracket if you want to or leave it as it is. Like either way, it's going to be correct. Solve g of x equals to f of minus 4. G of x is 2 over 1 minus x. F of negative 4 is going to be 1 plus 3 times negative 4 over 2. Basically, negative 4 is your domain now. So you replace x in f of x with negative 4. So that's going to be 2 over 1 minus x equal to 1 plus negative 12 over 2, which is going to be 1 minus 6. And that's going to equal to negative 5. So 2 equals to negative 5 times 1 minus x. Once again, cross multiply to get rid of the fraction. That's 2 equals to negative 5 plus 5x. When you multiply a negative integer by a negative integer, the answer is going to be positive. And negative times positive is always going to be negative. That is your key for multiplying integers. So now we collect like terms on each side, bring the negative 5 on the left hand side, and it becomes positive. So 7 equals to 5x, and 7 over 5 is your value of x. That is the answer. Factorize 9p square minus q square. So as you can see, this is a square minus b square, which is difference of perfect squares. And difference of perfect square can be factorized to a minus p times a plus p. Over here, 9p square is your a square, which means 3p is going to be a. Q square is b square, which means q is going to be b. Hence, 3p minus q times 3p plus q is your answer. AC minus 3bc plus a minus 3b. So in order to factorize this, I'm going to split this into two groups. This is the first group. This is the second group. So in the first group, we can see that we have c common. So c bracket a minus 3b. And in the second group, we don't have a common, 3 common, or b common, but we always have 1 common. So I'm going to take plus 1 common, and it's going to be a minus 3b again over here. Now between c and positive 1, we have a minus 3b common. So we take that common, and in the other bracket, we'll have c plus 1. So that's your factorized answer. Question 23 says Adam and Ben buy tickets for the cinema and the theater. Adam buys 5 cinema tickets and 4 theater tickets. Ben buys 7 cinema tickets and 9 theater tickets. Complete the matrix X to represent this information. So that's going to be cinema tickets for Adam are 5 and theater are 4. For Ben, cinema tickets are 7 and theater are 9. Literally just put this information as it is in the matrix. Cinema tickets cost $11 each and theater tickets cost $30 each. The matrix Y represents this information. P equals to XY. Find the matrix P. So X was 5, 7, 4, 9. And we're multiplying it by Y, which is 11, 30. So as I've said earlier, when we're multiplying matrices, we multiply first row with the column. Then we repeat the same steps with the second row multiplied with the column. So it's going to be 5 times 11 plus 4 times 30. And then 7 times 11 plus 9 times 30. That's going to be 55 plus 120, 77 plus 270, which is equal to 175 and 347. That's your matrix P. Explain what elements in matrix P represents. Matrix P basically represents the total cost of Adam's tickets and total cost of Ben's tickets. Basically, the matrix was 175 and 347, right? So this is your total cost for Adam. And this is your total cost for Ben. Question 24 says sine x equals to sine 50 and x is between 90 and 180. Find the value of x. If you draw your grid, sine is positive in the first and the second quadrant. If this is 50, this is 50. They're asking us to find this value over here. So we'll do 180 minus 50, and that's going to be 130, which shows your x values between 90 and 180, and that's 130. Simplify x squared minus 4x over x squared minus x minus 12. So let's start with this. In the numerator, we have x common, so x bracket x minus 4. In the denominator, we have a more complex quadratic equation, which will be solved by middle term breakage. So if you multiply the coefficient of x squared and our constant, 1 times 12, that's 12. Now we find factors of 12. Factors of 12 are 3 times 4. We have 6 times 2. And we have 12 times 1. We have to select that set of factors which when added or subtracted give us the middle term, which is just like x over here, or the coefficient of x, which is 1. So we know 3 minus 4 is going to equal to negative 1, which is what the middle term is. So we can replace the negative x with 3x minus 4x. So that's going to be x squared plus 3x minus 4x minus 12. Now we're going to factorize the denominator in parts. So I'm going to make the first two terms a group and the second and the last two terms a group. So between the first two terms, we have x common. So x times x plus 3. And between the last two terms, we have negative 4 common. So it's going to be x plus 3. Numerators remains as it is right now. So between x and negative 4, we have x plus 3 common. So next bracket would have x minus 4. So as you can see, we have an x minus 4 in the numerator and denominator. So we cancel those out and we're left with x over x plus 3. That is your answer. Question 26 says OAC is a triangle and B is a point on AC such that AB is to BC is 3:2. OA is given as A and OB is given as B. Find OC in terms of A and B, giving your answer in simplest form. This is OC, which we have to find. Now, AB ratio BC is 3:2. And we can find AB by doing AO plus OB, which is basically, we draw it AO plus OB. This will give us AB, okay? So that's going to be negative A because the direction is opposite now. So OA was A, AO would be negative A plus B, which means negative A plus B equals to 3/5 of AC, okay? Because if we add AB and BC, that's basically AC, okay? So AC would be 5/3 of negative A plus B. That is your AC. So now OC will be, if we make a root for that, we can say that OC can be OA plus AC, which will give us OC. So I'm going to do OA plus AC. That's going to be A plus 5/3 of negative A plus B, which will equal 3A minus 5A plus 5B over 3. I multiply the 3 with A, and then we had the same denominator. So 3A minus 5A is negative 2A and plus 5B over 3. This is our OC. Then it says D is a point on OC such that OD equals to B minus 2/5 of A. Show that OABD is a trapezium. B minus 2/5 of A. And D is a point on OC. Such that OABD is a trapezium. OAB, it can only be a trapezium if OA and BD are parallel. Because in a trapezium, we have two parallel sides. So OD is given as B minus 2/5 of A. They want us to show that OABD is a trapezium. So for that, we have to show that OA and DB are parallel. Know that OD is B minus 2/5 of A. and OB is B. So DB is going to be OB minus OD, which is going to be B minus 2/5 of A. So B minus B plus 2/5 of A, which is going to be 2/5 of A. Now for OA to be parallel to DB, DB has to be a multiple of number, but like the core vector has to be the same, which is vector A. So OA is A and DB we found to be 2/5 of A. As you can see, we have a multiplier of 2/5, which means that yes, they are parallel because DB is basically equal to 2/5 of OA, which you can see that A is OA and DB is 2/5 of OA. So that's how we show that OABD is a trapezium.